Hey everybody, if you're a geek like me, you've probably got some really cool collection of items related to your nerdy hobbies, something that really deserves to be properly displayed. In my case, I've got a bunch of vintage cameras and some steam engines that I built in my machine shop, and I really want them to look nice. So I found a cabinet at Ikea that was a perfect fit for the style that I was looking for with the objects that I was going to put on display. And I added some custom LED lighting, and it looks great. In this video, I'm going to tell you all about how to put together a setup like this. I'll give you a parts list, everything you need, and I'll show you how to install it. It's about a 1-hour build, and it's going to look great. First and foremost, you're going to need a cool cabinet of your choice, and then a roll of LED strip lighting. Then you're going to want to get some press fit connectors, these things, to hook your strips of lighting together. And then you will need a power supply, and you're going to need a connector for the power supply. You need something to go from this end to the end of your LED lights. And you probably want to have a dimmer control, flicker free. Then, in order to do the installation, why not get a hot glue gun to help you out in certain places? And optionally, you might need some zip ties and those little pads that you stick on that give a little loop for the zip tie to go through. Here's the cabinet I chose. This is a Fabricor glass door cabinet from Ikea. I chose this one because it had the vibe I was looking for, this kind of green with the metallic, like an industrial look, but all the glass, the sides are glass and all the shelves were glass. And one of the things I looked for was I made sure that there was room at the top to hold the lights. These things have glue on the back, and they're going to stick with tape, double stick tape inside, and you have to make sure that there's enough space for this kind of thing to fit in the top of your cabinet. This is 8 millimeters wide, so that's what you're looking for. In addition, you want to make sure there's room to route your wires and go around the corners, and a place where you can hide the wires as you're bringing them down to the floor. And you should be able to find something that fits your style at Ikea, and if not, you can find them in other places. But I think it's really neat because you can go to their showroom, and it's always a hike to get to one, and check out many different options that they have. Open them up, look around, put your head inside, whatever, and see how much of a pain it's going to be to wire everything up. But also, does it fit the aesthetic you're looking for? Choosing the lighting is important. You want to get the right kind of light. I went with, these are from a company called Hit Lights, and these are the kind of lights you put underneath the cabinets in your kitchen. And they come in various brightnesses and color temperatures. So for a display case, I prefer to have a warmer look. So they offer 3000K and 2700K. I went for 2700K. They also offer 3 different densities. They have a medium density, a high density, and a premium high density. This is the high density. There are 3 LEDs per inch, or 36 per foot. You can see little lines every inch on here, and that helps you measure as well. 3 LEDs per inch. The medium density one has half of that. That's going to be 1.5 LEDs per inch. There's a much larger space between them. And the thing is, inside the cabinet with the glass and all, you're going to see reflections of the light source everywhere. And these, to me, they look a little nicer, and they give you more power, more brightness for the small area you want to put these in. They also sell another kind called premium high density, which is not individual lights like this. It actually is a solid piece of material that has like a diffusion kind of surface on it, and that would be excellent for under your kitchen cabinets, but I do not think it would be a good fit in a display cabinet. In a display cabinet, you want to have those specular highlights, those pinpoints of light that are making the objects look very interesting. And a diffuse light source is not going to give you those specular highlights. So go for the high density hit lights, and you won't be disappointed. The installation process is pretty simple. You're going to take this and you're going to cut 4 pieces. You just measure it about an inch short in each corner. You don't want to have the corners go right up to each other because you're going to be trying to connect this stuff with these wires here, these connector wires. And you see how this works? It's going to be kind of like that. You see, if you had them butted up against each other, they would be overlapping and it'd be trouble. So you want to have maybe an inch short on each end. You look for these lines right there, there, and there. You can see the double blob of solder with a little black line through the middle. And all you need to do is get your scissors right on that line and snip. And you cut them to length. Try to make sure you've got enough solder to make a good contact on the end. You're going to get your 4 strips, stripped just like this. You're going to attach them using these press fit connectors. And the connectors, you get them from Amazon. They're pretty cheap. You get a whole bundle of them pretty cheap. And you just pop the connector open and slide the tape inside, making sure to match up the polarity, and then clip the little door closed, and it should work. If you look at the ends of the tape, you'll see that one end, you've got the minus on the right side and the plus on the left side. Go to the other end, you'll see the plus on the right side and the minus on the left. That means you've got to be careful when you're hooking one of these connectors up. Okay, so it goes in like so, like that, and I just fit right underneath those little lips there, and it went right under the springs. And you notice the plus side matches the red and the minus the black. So this is ready to go, and you flip this little door down and it clips in place. That's all you need to do. When you're done attaching everything, making sure you have black wire, negative, all on one side, and red wire and positive all on the other, end to end, you should have 4 separate lengths of LED strip lighting in your hands, all connected with these connector wires. Then on one of the free ends of them, you want to connect an additional one of these, like this. And I just sacrificed one and clipped the end off of it. The problem is you need to connect this from the power supply to this end of your LED. So what you need is a female connector for this barrel jack, and then long enough wires, maybe 4 foot long. And that's exactly what I did. And I just soldered them together with these. You could use wire nuts. This is low voltage, so you could use whatever you want. You could even just twist them together and wrap them in electrical tape and it'll be fine. Just make sure all along the way the polarity is right. In the end, plug in your power supply, hook the plug up to the end of the lights, and this long strip of lights, all 4 sections, should come on and be blindingly bright. If they don't, or if it stops somewhere in the middle, you've only got 2 of them lighting and the other 2 aren't, you probably screwed up the polarity somewhere. You're not going to break anything. These are diodes, so if you get them backwards, the current is simply not going to flow. Once you get them all set up and they're all lighting correctly, now you can play around with, maybe you put your dimmer in there and see how that works. Now you have everything ready to go. Go to the cabinet and let's start wiring it up. You go in the very top and clean everything off with alcohol and start taping them in place. You just peel this blue tape off of the back and just stick them in place. Make it so that you're going around the inside and stopping inside one of the front corners, because you want to probably run the wires down inside the front corner so it's not visible when you're standing in front of the case. You're going to run the wire down inside and take it all the way to the bottom, and hopefully there's a little hole somewhere where you can run the wire out. In the cabinet I got, there were little metal tabs that made it very handy to run the wire behind them. I'm assuming that Ikea made that cabinet with the intent that you could put some kind of lighting in there, and those tabs were probably for that purpose. All I did was put the wire behind those little tabs and put a dollop of hot glue, and that held it in place. Secure these little end connectors to the inside of the top of the cabinet with a dollop of hot glue. The reason is they're kind of heavy, and you don't want them to start to peel the LED lights down, because that will happen over time. So a dollop of hot glue underneath this connector, squish it in place, and that should hold that. You really shouldn't need to have any additional layers of lights, like different shelves or down the sides. That's going to be distracting. These things are bright, and there's loads of reflections happening inside between all the panes of glass. So just in the top is probably sufficient. And in fact, you really don't want to have the light source visible to people walking by. You want it to be hidden. The idea is that the objects are illuminated, but you're not blinded by these little pinpoints of the light source itself. And if you start putting them down the sides or something, well, that's what it's going to look like. It's going to look really, it's going to look like a string of Christmas lights coming down the side, and that's not the look you're looking for. Over the next few hours, you want to go and make sure all the LED lights are firmly in place. They're going to start sagging, and you just press them back, and then the next few days, keep checking, and over the next few weeks, and you'll find they start to sag, and you just press them back every time. Eventually, they'll get the point, and they'll just stick without sagging. And then they'll stay there for years. Mine have been in place for the past couple years. This cabinet's been doing great. The only thing I have an issue with is that the cabinet itself needs to be cleaned on a regular basis. It's an awful lot of glass to clean. You can control this thing any way you want. You can just unplug it and plug it in, or you can use, they sell little inline switches. The dimmer switch that I showed you right here, this thing actually, when you turn it off, it actually has a switch off position. You could also use an outlet that's switched with a hall switch or something like that. And if you want to get fancy, you can get a plug that is controllable by home automation, or buy a plug that has a timer on it. In my home, I actually like leaving the thing on all the time. It serves as a really nice night light when any of us goes downstairs in the middle of the night. It illuminates the dining room. We aren't tripping over stuff. It looks really nice. I've included links to everything I've mentioned here in the description. These aren't sponsored links. That's not my style. If you want to show off your geeky collection of figurines or Legos or whatever you have, why not set up a display case like this? It only took me about an hour to do all the work, and then I could spend the rest of the time doing what was important, deciding what I was going to put in it and how I was going to arrange the objects. That's all I got for you today. Thank you for watching.